Hi, everyone. Welcome to a Senior Citizens Forum. And I'm Janice Wood, your host, and I'm excited to have you on today because it's our first show for a beginning of our second season on E360 TV. And just excited to be starting this season off. And I'm started off with where we're going to be talking about flooring. And I have my guest who is Justin Schuhardt. And he is excited to be here today to talk about flooring. But why did I decide to bring someone on to talk about flooring? Okay. We all walk on flooring on a daily basis. Okay. There are so many different types of flooring, from carpeting to tile to cement flooring to laminates to different types of woods, and how they're laid down, how it can affect us. For senior citizens, it could affect our health. Falling is a big thing for senior citizens. So what we have on our floor can affect us for the rest of our lives. Even with small children, it could affect them and rolling around. Even the breathing. And doing my research, and Justin and I are going to talk about it. The compounds in flooring can affect our health. But I want to talk about Justin and tell you why I'm excited to have him on. I have to, first of all, start out by thanking Justin for his 25 years of service in the armed forces. Thank you so much for that time that you put on serving our country and protecting us. I'm sure you have lots of great stories to tell in regards to that. Justin what did you do exactly? I'm losing it.
Yeah, I joined the Army right out of high school and became a field artillery surveyor. And so if I have trouble hearing you from time to time, it's from those loud ammunition rounds.
Oh, I
But
understand about
yeah,
that. Okay.
and then I became an Army logistics officer thereafter. Kind of worked in the supply chain in the Army, and then later on in my civilian career, did the supply chain as well. Big project management and all the times we moved around the country, that's what got me into the home improvement space, and that's why I ended up with you here today.
But you also got a lot of education behind you too. You have
Yeah,
math.
I
You
got
have.
an
You're very.
undergraduate degree from Western Illinois University, a master's degree from Western Michigan University, and I'm going for my doctoral degree at Liberty University now, as long as being a certified contractor in the flooring space in California.
Okay. Well, that's impressive. So you understand the different things that go into flooring, the chemicals, the chemistry of it, and that to me, I think, is totally makes you an expert in what you're doing. So let's talk about what is why is flooring changing? And let's go back real quick. When I spoke to you last week, you talked about you were at a trade show for flooring, so you know what the latest in flooring is. So you have give us some ideas from there, and then we'll just have this great conversation.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, when I think back to why I got into flooring, it's the home improvement space. And Janice, you said it. We're standing on floors all day long,
Yeah.
and I've put several new floors in homes. We've moved over 10 times over my lifetime, and each time I found myself in a situation where we're making improvements to the home. We're putting new flooring, and we're putting decks on, putting turf in the yard, different things like that, and it it was always very challenging working with a contractor on the outside, especially when you're someone that doesn't understand fully what these things are. On the professional side of things, I was very adept with program management, working with different contractors, and I wanted to bring that to this, to others who may be struggling with the same thing. So that's kind of the impetus around why I got into this business. And, like you said, I love floors. We're standing on them all day long. And I think it's the unsung hero of the house. It can add so much comfort to you. It can add so much to your lifestyle stage, whether you've got babies and you mentioned crawling around and rolling around on the
Right.
floors, or you've got teenagers who are super active, throwing footballs in the house and bouncing things off the walls, or you're a cook, or you do a lot of entertaining, or you find that mobility is now a concern of yours and you need something that's more easy to move around on and more practical. So for every stage in your life, there's a different kind of flooring, a different style of flooring, different considerations that you have to make. And as you mentioned, also just coming off of a convention of flooring in just last week. That's where we spent all last week. So learning about new different types of flooring, from carpet to hardwoods, solid or laminate. Just so much to consider, and I'm here to help you make the right decisions.
Yeah, well, I know being a homeowner, okay, and my son owns properties that people live in, okay. Flooring is always a major is major. So when
Yeah,
I look at my home, I live in a house that was built in the 1950s, and it has the original hardwood floors in it. Then I look into my another room and I have ceramic tile. And then I remodeled the kitchen several years ago and it has laminate that looks like wood. Then I have a bathroom that has laminate and another bathroom that has tile. I have so many different floorings in my house. And when I think about it, I mean, first of all, when I think about flooring, I think about what looks good. But there's more to it than that.
yeah. You want to look at form and function, right? So
Yeah,
you want it to look good. And I think everyone deserves a good floor, but it has to be the right floor for your stage of life and for the lifestyle that you leave.
right. And how long? I mean, I've been going through and reading different articles, and I read an article where it talked about the different costs of flooring. So if I were a young family starting out and I had children, and then we're leaving out a very important factor in here is animals and flooring in your home.
Absolutely. I mean, the cost of flooring can range,
Right.
you know, significantly to, on the, if you already have, you mentioned hardwood floors that you've had since 1958, great solid floors, you can refinish those. And you refinish those, it may be a little bit of a dusty endeavor for you, but, those floors will last you forever if they're taken care of.
Right.
So you can put a new color on there. You could put another, um, top coat on there to give you the resilience and durability you need. You can, on the other end, you could install brand new, engineered hardwood flooring, which it may cost a little bit more, but it'll give you some of the more modern looks, wide planks, maybe a hand scraped look. So that and everywhere in between. If you're a carpet, you could go from an economy, you mentioned apartment grade type of carpet that might be in a polyester, to where you might want a hand woven wool runner on your stairs.
Yeah.
Going to last forever, feel magical under your feet. So there's just so many different solutions.
Well, right. And I know when I bought my house, which is like 30 years ago, somebody had taken the hardwood floors and they put carpeting on top of it.
Those are the hidden gems, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
remember our first home that we bought, same thing.
Right. So when they took, I was like, when I spoke to someone who did the floors for me, okay, they said, well, we don't know what kind of condition the floors are underneath the carpeting because you could, as I mentioned, dogs or cats, they can make messes on your floor. So you don't know if there's been damage by that or I see children just taking poor water. There's so many different ways floors can be damaged that you don't know. So let's start with something very basic that you and I spoke about last week. If I have a house like my house is right now and it's older, um, and I'm looking at the hardwood floors, okay, and they're in fairly good condition, but how often can I have them polyurethaned?
Well, you can. I mean, in older homes that have solid hardwood floors,
Mhm.
you can literally go from, typically it starts at 3/4 of an inch, and
Right.
you can take that down several different times over the course of the years, 4 or 5, 6 times, no issues at all. Some people may have a laminated or engineered hardwood flooring that just has a veneer on the top that may be only a few millimeters thick, and it could only be able to resurface once or twice. So there's everything in between. And you mentioned if you try to pull your floors out, or if you've got carpet over your hardwood, you don't know what's underneath, right? I mean, you could have claw marks in your pets, prior water damage. You can't always, repair all of that. Sometimes it adds character, but if you're in wood, you can keep going down further and further until you get to a beautiful surface. Restain it, recoat it with a polyurethane over the top.
So, yeah. So I'm starting with older floors. So if you mentioned to me when I spoke to you last week, and I didn't even think about this until you talked about it. Is asbestos.
Hmm.
Okay. And I didn't and that I know that comes in tile, but if I have no idea as a homeowner, okay, what the floor is made out of, and all of a sudden I'm pulling it up and I'm finding out I'm getting sick, what do I do? How do I handle that?
Yeah, it's a really important consideration. You mentioned your home 1958. Well, in 1978 is when there were laws enacted with respect to asbestos and lead. And those are two common things that we found in homes before then. The lead's going to help preserve color in things. So whether it's your paint on the walls, or it could be found in your floors, it's going to preserve those colors. And as far as asbestos goes, a super resilient material, making car brake pads out of these. And they were also putting it in floors, a lot of commercial applications, but it didn't stop with commercial applications in schools and hospitals. It was in people's homes too, in your kitchens. You would typically find 12-inch square tiles that would be pasted or glued down to the floor, and they'd be very rigid, very resilient, but they would have asbestos in them. And the glues, the mastics that they used to stick other materials to your floor would also have asbestos. So anytime you're dealing with a home and materials in that home were installed before 1978, you really need a professional to come evaluate, what kind of surfaces you have, so we don't create a situation where, as you're scraping tiles off the floor, you're creating these asbestos dust particles that can really be dangerous to our health. So there's a number of different ways around it. They can be encapsulated to lock in those to prevent someone from creating that dust, or it can be professionally abated. Um, Certain situations are right for one, where they're not right for another situation.
Right. I mean, there's going to be, for as many places to live, there are going to be that many different scenarios.
You're right.
There's just a lot of different scenarios. So I'm looking at uh, my hardwood floors, and I think I have one more. I can do one more polyurethane to it, okay, and then after that, it would have to come up. But if you were to come out to me and start showing me different different flooring, how would you go about it? I mean, besides my saying, okay, I I'm one that doesn't like carpet because I feel uh, carpet is collects dust and dirt and it's hard to clean and it just isn't as healthy. And I think not as many people use carpeting, but yet carpet is a lot warmer to walk on in the wintertime, depending where you live.
Absolutely, and different places in the country have different preferences. And I'm part of a network of 300 different franchises across the U.S. So, from Maine and Canada, even down to California, Arizona, and back over to Florida, and everywhere in between, we've got different representatives. And what we find is different parts of the country have different preferences for their types of flooring. In the Southwest, we find a lot of tiles, cool to the feet. If you're a barefooted person, you don't find as much tile in the colder climates. So there's different preferences out there, and you mentioned what would we recommend? We're in Southern California, Orange County, and some of the trends are to carry the same look throughout the entire home. Uh, so wherever we start, whatever we start with a customer, and what do you need for your place in life? What is your lifestyle? Do you do a lot of entertaining? Do you what are the different aesthetic looks that you are trying to accomplish? Do you like having different floors and different rooms because you can clearly tell where one starts and one finishes? Or are you someone that likes to carry that same look from the kitchen to the living room, to the family room, dining room, into the bedrooms, into the hallways, and into the bathrooms as well? We've got materials today that are light years ahead of where they were even 5 years ago. So it's very easy to take that same luxury vinyl plank that you start with in the kitchen and carry it throughout your whole home. And it's what you're wanting to accomplish. Maybe even surfaces is really important to you. You don't want transitions where you're stepping up, stepping down. You're moving from one surface to the next. You want it to be flat across the whole house. Those are the common trends I think that we're seeing today. People are much more in tune to the health matters that you mentioned too. What are is my floor emitting VOCs, volatile organic compounds, because it was made from a petroleum type product? Those are things. If you have babies that are crawling around on that floor, you may want to look at something that has a very low volatile compound emissions. You might want one that has none. There's a lot of different choices, and it just depends on what you're trying to solve for. So when we come to you, we try to understand what are the different things that you're trying to solve for. What is whether it's your lifestyle, whether it's the looks, whether it's your budget. We'll work with you to find the right solution.
Well, I know because I'm a senior citizen. Okay, I still like I like things to look a certain way. Okay, but I also know that, especially with working with senior citizens, that it's important that they look at something where they're not going to fall, because falling is just a major thing in a senior's life. Okay, and so if I had tile, and I have tile in my house, but if I were to fall on that tile, I'm going to really hurt myself.
Yeah,
It's going to be
absolutely.
slippery when it gets wet.
Tile is among the most unforgiving of surfaces, and typically where you go into a room that has tile, you might have a slight step up or a slight step down. You've got a transition piece there that may make it difficult to push something over, to wheel something over, um, to
Yeah.
clean even. So there it creates different obstacles in the home sometimes. And not only that, but the slipperiness, as you touched on.
Mm,
Today's surfaces have you can get with a lot of different textures on them that
right.
help create some traction, but yet are still easy to clean. And that can be good for humans and pets alike.
Well, for me, I think the tile's easy to clean except for the grouting. But then I've been into other homes where they have marble, or they have, some type of granite on the floor or travertine on the floor. And that's going to be slippery if it's wet.
Very slippery and very unforgiving if you do fall.
Yeah.
You take a kitchen where you've got tiles and you drop a plate, you've got about 100% chance that it's going to break. If you have one of today's materials, a luxury vinyl with a cushion attached underneath, it's very likely that if you drop that plate, it will not break. And that's kind of indicative of, if you fall on it, there is more forgiveness from that floor versus a tile or stone floor.
Right.
And so slipping and falls, it can help.
Slip. And then the other thing I like about the other types of flooring, like if you, I don't know if the wood, if you put wood in the floor, does that also have be able to have cushioning on it like the laminates do?
Yeah, we do, and you can do it for a number of different reasons. We will put down, if you have a hardwood floor installed in today's day, you are going to have a membrane underneath. One to help with moisture, two to help with sound absorption and insulation as well. So, the underlayment serves a number of different purposes, whether it's glued down membrane or it's a plastic membrane that's rolled out. Or if it's a cushioned pad that goes underneath. They all serve their purpose, and it's really important, to have the right subfloor to put your floor on.
Yeah. I know when I chose my kitchen floor, and this is probably 7 years ago, I like the idea of the cushioning because I know we have bad knees, sometimes we have bad backs, hips are all part of being a senior. You don't think about that when you're younger, but that's all part of it. And I thought, well, that cushioning is great, but I'm not crazy about the laminate.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in my life going to different trade shows, and
Yeah.
you really notice this when you spend an entire day walking on concrete. You feel it at the end of the day, and you feel it the next day. So if you were to save that same day and you were walking on an luxury vinyl or a vinyl that is more forgiving, or even wood, you won't feel it as much. And that's often, a lot of times, when you find people working in industry, they'll be standing on a pad. um, just over time, over the course of the day, the hardness of that floor does take a toll on your body.
Yeah. And how long do the cushionings last? Do they last for any length of time?
Absolutely. The In a residential application, for example,
Mhm.
many of the luxury vinyl planks, similar to what you have on the background there, they click together. They've got multiple. They come in multiple images to give you the stone look, to give you a wood look. They've got a wear layer on top that could be textured to give you that traction, and then on the bottom, they do have, many of them have an attached pad. And these pads and the warranty on the entire flooring in a residential setting will likely be 15 years and beyond, if as long as it's installed by a professional and they follow the manufacturer's installation instructions. Some of them may have a lifetime warranty, so as long they'll be free from defects, for the entire life of that product. And you know, most people change their floors, in their home, at least one of them every 4 to 7 years. So if you get a floor that lasts, has a lifetime warranty on it, chances are you won't get there because you'll change your floors first.
That's interesting because I haven't changed flooring that often. I've had my tile floor for 25 years.
Well, is there some in your house that you've had since then, that you put in since then?
I put in the tile.
Okay.
The only thing I didn't put in was the hardwood floors. And I'm thinking now, well, it's time to do something.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's been a long time. And do I want to put in something that goes throughout the whole house? Or do I want to, have it sectioned off? So it's a matter of preference. You'll have to come visit me.
I will. And that's actually our model, right? So we
Yeah.
don't want our customers have to go to the store, drive to the store, select samples, sit down with someone at the store, select samples, and then schedule an appointment a week later for someone to come out to their house to measure. And then after they measure, they show them some more samples, and you
Yeah.
settle on a type of flooring. And then a week later, a different person comes out with an installation crew, and they do the installation.
Mm.
So our whole business model is we've got mobile showrooms with over 3,000 samples in there, everything from carpet to hardwood and everything in between.
Yeah. I
We
want to
come to
talk more
you.
about your mobile shows and showroom in a little bit,
Okay.
okay? But I know in picking out stuff, I have a girlfriend who lives in outside Yosemite, okay? And she decided she wanted to change from carpeting, which is what the house came with. And they came home with samples of hardwood floors and decided to keep their carpeting. And I'm like, how could you keep the carpeting? And it's just like, I was like, it was crazy to me, but that was their decision. They thought the hardwood flooring made their house look too dark.
Well, today, like similar to the background you have on there,
Yeah,
you can get even hardwood in very light colors these days. I think of a light maple, natural maple color,
yeah,
which might be a little bit vanilla, a little bit of a yellow look to it. But you can get very light with your hardwood flooring these days.
yeah. I think that's really great. So he's referring to where it says a senior citizens forum and floor covering international. It's right over a floor.
Right.
Yeah,
Very
so
clever.
that's what Justin is referring to. If you have, because they're going, oh my God, she's got a brick fireplace, and he's got a beautiful view of behind him. So if you're looking behind us, we have a flooring up there. So that's great. So what is the cost of flooring? Let's talk about the cost.
Yeah, so when you think about the cost of flooring, it's more than just the cost of the floor itself. And you've
Yeah,
got the installation of that flooring that you pick out. You've got the removal of the other floor that you have to take out, and you've got any subfloor preparation. A lot of to get your warranty and to get the most longevity out of your floors, you got to have a good subfloor. Moving furniture. So we do all those things for you, from the moving the furniture, even putting moving out a refrigerator or a stove and putting the flooring under there, to taking out the old floor, putting the new floor in, and cleaning it up afterwards. Um, the cheapest, like if you have hardwood floors today and you are looking for, the best value because you like the look of the wood, you want to continue, a sand and refinish option is the cheapest option for you. Um,
okay.
we will have someone come in with a big sander with a dust vacuum on the back of it, and we'll strip down everything that you have on the floor, take off a few millimeters of the top of that to include the urethane coating, the stain to get down to the naked wood, and then we'll restain that. That is, with all of that plus the moving and of the material, your furniture, and the staining and the polyurethane after will cost around $6 to $8 per square foot, and that's generally the cheapest. Now, carpet will also fall into that range as well. So, if you have an existing floor and you need to take your old carpet out, put new carpet in, we can usually do that for around $6 all in per square foot as well.
Square foot.
And
Okay.
then,
So let me make sure I understand. Okay. So you're going to come in and remove all the furniture, which is major. Okay. Because I know I couldn't be moving all that furniture on my own. All right. Um, you're going to be doing all that, removing the existing. We're not or sanding, one or the other, and you're going to include that in the square footage
yes.
of what the okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that. Okay. Now I'm going to go a little bit farther. If I'm going to have my floors done and I'm having furniture moved around, should I not have do you paint before that or after that?
Well, we've had people do both. Like if you were to build a new house, um, you would want you may want your floor or your walls painted first, and then put your floors in. But today, it doesn't. You could do either, because at the at the end of any job, when you put in new flooring, you're usually going to have new baseboards. You may have a quarter round that goes between your baseboard and over the floor at the edge, and those all need to be painted too. So, yeah, I guess the short answer is you can do either one.
You can do either. Okay. So I didn't know what's better to do first. Okay. So that was a basic question for me to ask. Okay. Now, if I'm looking at laminate floorings versus wood, what's the price range going to be in that?
Well, if you're going to install a new wood flooring, that's among the most expensive floors to put in. Whereas a laminate will be, I mentioned a sand and refinishing of your wood floor. A carpet might cost around $5 or $6 per square foot. If you're talking about removing a floor and putting hardwood in there, that may cost you up to $15 per square foot. So there's a big difference. And now laminate, luxury vinyl, or any type of vinyl is going to be somewhere in between those two. Anywhere from the 7 to 8 to 9 to $10 per square foot. And there's a big variation of what it is that you're looking at in terms of what kind of style you want. Do you want a wood look? Do you want something that's going? Is it going in an apartment, or is it going in your home? You answer all those questions, and you end up somewhere in that range.
Right. Now, I mean, if I was doing, let's say, I was renting my house out, okay, I'm going to put in a different type floor than if I personally would be living in there, because I've seen a lot of rentals and those floors get destroyed.
They do. Yeah, there's two ways to look at it. If you know, most of the installations we do in income generating type properties, are
Right.
going to be a very, I call it, you have good, better, best. It would be fall into the good category, but something that is going to be durable, probably going to hide stains better. So maybe in a darker neutral type color. Or one that has flecks. So you may see some browns and some blacks and some whites in the same carpet. Helps hide some of those stains and the different types of um, I don't want to say abuse that rental properties get, but they sometimes get worked over a little harder than your own home.
Yeah, because I know I met a gentleman years ago who owned a lot of properties, and he said, I put in the biggest tiles I can find
Yeah,
because I don't have to replace them as often. So that was interesting. But in my home, I'm going to look at it differently if I'm living in it versus it's a rental.
that's right, and it does matter, how you take care of your home too. I was in visiting with a new customer, an install we were going to do in a mobile home 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
and they had 20-year-old carpet in their mobile home, but they had it professionally cleaned every year, and it was in really good condition. So, that carpet typically comes with a 15-year warranty on it. They've had it over 20, and as long as you take care of it and you've got good hygiene habits, it'll last a lot longer.
Yeah.
So those are all considerations as well.
But if I have a typical family, let's say of five, that's three children and two parents, a couple of animals, that flooring is going to take a lot more abuse than living in a house with two seniors.
Absolutely, and that's where the lifestyle, choices comes
Yeah.
in. The stage of your life. If you're a starter home, you may be putting in, carpet or refinishing the floors if you happen to pull back the carpeting and see if there's hardwood underneath. Something more on the lower end of the cost spectrum. Whereas you get into the middle of your life, you got to look for some durability because you've got the pets, you've got the teenagers. They're creating traffic patterns over your carpet. So you want maybe a nylon carpet or a luxury vinyl. If you've got allergies, that comes into play. If you do a lot of cooking in the home too, you don't want something that's
Right.
maybe going to absorb the odors.
Yeah, because I was reading like nylon carpeting doesn't gather as much dust as a wool carpeting. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, the dust is going to be in your home,
Yeah.
and but it will settle into your carpet for sure. And as far as the cleaning of it, as long as you vacuum regularly, I don't think that's going to create much of an issue. When you get into the wool type carpets, it's 100% natural. It could last forever. But it tends to have a lot of variation in the heights, patterned heights. When you get into pattern type heights, you just have to be more careful about your cleaning. You have to be more diligent, more rigorous
Yeah.
than if it's just a uniform height.
Okay. So just real quick, I want to talk about your mobile showroom for a while. We mentioned that earlier. So tell us more about your mobile showroom and exactly what you do when you come out to visit.
Yeah, sure. It would now be a good time to share some information so you can on the screen so you can see it.
Okay, I would love to do that. Go ahead.
Let me see if I can get there for you. And all right, so going back here, try this, and I will try this, and I will share. And does that look all right for you? Can you see that?
Fine. Yes.
Okay, so on the right hand side of the picture, that's the back of one of our vans. So in that van, we have around 3,000 samples in there. Everything, like I mentioned, from hardwood to carpet to laminates to luxury vinyl and everything in between. We've got about 3,000 samples in there. She's holding up, one of the full size samples that we'll bring in, and we can put that down on the floor. You can step on it. We can put a cushion underneath it to see how it feels under your feet. It makes a difference if you do you wear shoes in the home or do you like bare feet. So all these kind of things come into play, and so our job is to we'll set an appointment with you. We'll bring the samples to you. We'll come into the home. We'll take out our laser measures and measure your surfaces, and then talk about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And once we get to there, we can put together a down to the penny quote for you so you know exactly what you're looking at before we leave. And again, you know, I'm in Orange County, California, but we've got 300 franchisees like me in probably close to 400, 500 different vans all across the country that can come to you with and make it convenient for you.
Okay. So do you have anything else to show?
I do have some other ones. Let me see where I can get to the all right. Let me go back to this and share again.
Yeah.
And here you go. So if you were to look at a customer journey, and where you as the customer decide that you need to find a trusted professional, and I would say that that's maybe one of the most important things is to determine who you want to work with first. If you live in a state where they require certifications, you want to check to make sure that whomever you're working with has a license to do the work. Many You might be happy with the work that the local handyman can do, but when it comes to lead, when it comes to asbestos, when it comes to protecting your warranty and truly giving you the solution that you need for your stage of life, you want someone that's got experience, a broad spectrum of experience, who's done different types of floors. So they're not trying to sell you just tile because they're just a tile installer, or just wood because they do hardwood. So that's a first step, and that's what I call like day zero. So once you decide to work with us, maybe you scan the QR code, maybe you set an appointment with us. We come into your home, we laser measure it. You can see up here in the top picture to make sure that we get the exact measurements. Then we move down to the bottom picture where we pull out some samples. We work with you to figure out what kind of surface you want. Do you want the hard surface or the carpet? We select that surface, and it could be different ones in different rooms. That's okay. Then we schedule your installation. It usually, from the point at which you decide what kind of flooring you want, it'll we'll order materials. About 14 days later, we're starting the installation for you. And then you end up with something that's on the far right. From soup to nuts, I call it. In less than 21 days, we can have you on a brand new floor, one that you're going to be proud to show off to your friends and family. That's going to give you the hygienic, needs, or meet those hygienic needs that you might have if you've got pets, if you've got kids, or you've got spills. Floors are beautiful. I love them.
Okay. I think it's really cool. Okay. So this has been great. The information that you've given us today has really been informative. I hope people will 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 give you a call. We have Justin's phone number up here. Please give him a call. He's very friendly. He's warm. He likes to listen to what your needs are, and he will explain to you in detail. I hope this show has given you some, definitely given you some ideas in how to work with the floors that you have right now. Also, you know what type of chemicals are in those floors that you have right now, and to ask when somebody comes into your house, what kind of chemicals are they using, because it can affect your health. And there's just a lot of different things to think about. Do you have anything you would love to add?
Yeah, I would just say, give me a call if you've got any questions, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
I If I'm not going to service your area, I can absolutely be, a trusted expert that you can ask some of these questions to, and I can give you some questions to ask your local installer too. We do have 300 other partners like me across the U.S. that can help and support you, and again, don't hesitate to call and ask the questions. You're going to have to advocate for yourself to some degree, but if you work with someone that you can trust, they will help you through that journey, and it shouldn't be a difficult one for you.
And if you go online, you can get a lot of information online about flooring before you choose it, because flooring is real important, from having small children to teenagers to you yourself going into your senior years. It's very important that you know what that flooring is. And if you're watching this, maybe you want to have your family watch it, because there's just really good information in what they have. And even looking for a rental, you should be concerned about what kind of flooring you're putting your family into, because it can affect you. Also can affect your furry loved animals too. So thank you so much for coming on today. Do you have anything extra to add?
Oh, well, Janice, thank you for being a gracious host. I appreciate this. And absolutely, when you'll have me back, we can talk more about
We
anything you
will
want to know about
definitely do
flooring.
that.
And I'd
Thank
be happy
you.
to.
And thank you very much for being here with us today. Thank you.
All
And
right.
everybody, we'll see you next week, and we'll have a different guest on. Thank you for
Thank you
watching
so
us
much.
on
Have a great day.
E350 TV. Thank you.